So I have personally been able to witness this transformation in Chrissy, in her thinking and her perceptions. And I heard her speaking in a group one time, and it was the first time I heard her talk about that she had to change her thinking and realize that God, maybe this was where God wanted her, and that she had to accept that in order to be who He wanted her to be. And my question to her was, okay, do you really mean that, or are you just saying it because you think that's the right thing to say? So, do you really mean it, or are you just saying it because you think it's the right thing to say?
It is the right thing to say because it's true. And it's not easy because I don't always feel like being joyful. Sometimes I feel downright cheated or denied of simple mommy pleasures like dancing in the rain with my kids, or riding bikes, or building a snowman. But please remember this real truth. Joy is not necessarily an escape from my problems or my crummy circumstances, but rather it's an attitude that I choose to have. I don't have to give up my feelings of sorrow, frustration, disappointment, or confusion, or pain to still have joy and trust in God's good gifts. God knows the plans He has for me, even knowing before I was born that Becca and Zach's mommy would be disabled. And knowing He's always with me and has a plan for me and knows my future is my real source of joy. All right, so I have a gift for each of you today. You grab the bucket. No, the bucket. So today you'll each be going home with your very own toy snake. So if you could start that around. So I encourage you to put it on your windowsill or your computer desk or your dashboard, or throw it in a toy box to surface again in future days. When you see it next, remind yourself that whatever circumstance you're dealing with at that moment, because I know that we all have circumstances, always. So whatever circumstance you're in at that point, it's not a snake, but it's a fish from God. I also want to tell you and encourage you that myself, your small group leader, any MOP steering member would be happy to talk to you and help you work through any snakes in your life. We're here for you. We love you. We want to be on this journey of motherhood together. One of MOP's slogans is "No Mom Alone," and we really believe that and pray that you never feel alone.
So I hope you take that snake and think about it, and keep it and remember the things that Chrissy talked about today. Mentor moms are here for you too, and last week Jana wasn't here, but she's here this week. So Jana's our other mentor mom. We introduced you last week even though you weren't here. So does anybody have a question for Chrissy? We have a few more minutes before we go to small groups. If you do have a question, that's fine. If we don't have any questions, that's fine too, but don't be afraid to ask anything.
Nothing is off limits.
Monica.
When you said you went to counseling, did you seek a Christian counselor?
I personally did. I actually went to a pastor at the church I was attending at the time, and he counseled me for a number of months.
I know you don't think this, but I just wanted to maybe ask for clarification. When you're not saying that God is giving you these problems to make you grow, they're there to make you grow. It's hard to know what God's doing. I mean, when you ask those questions like, God, why are you doing this to me? And He comes back and says, well, I'm giving you fish and a snake. How do you answer that question to yourself sometimes? God, why are you giving me bad things? But they're good things. Is it just perception? Is that what... I know more what you think, but I figured that's a good question.
My attitude, Mandy, correct me if I'm treading on thin ground here, but my attitude to choose to accept whatever my life entails as a fish, not a snake. And again, there are some things in my life that are really sucky. You know, the death of my brother. There's no reason on this earth that I can understand that. My disability stinks. And I don't get it. But I trust that God, in His sovereignty and His wisdom, knows what's best for me. Is this my buckle on a car seat, so to speak? I mean, to keep me safe from running muck in life? I don't know. I trust Him.
I think there's things always in life that we're not going to have answers for, that make no sense, that are not fair, that we don't see how they fit into the picture at all. And so I don't know if we'll ever have those answers. But I think Chrissy found out that as she fought with God and demanded answers, the only thing that it got her was more unhappiness and more discouragement. And, you know, I always say, you new moms haven't heard me say this, but I say it all the time, you can't trust somebody you don't know. And so as you get to know God, you can learn to trust Him and believe that He does have good gifts for you, even though they don't feel like it, and even though they don't look like it. It may look like a snake, but it's not a snake. Jen?
I just want to say you're one of the good gifts that God has put in.
Oh, thanks.
Amy?
I'm just going to ask maybe a bunch of them. Could you tell us one of the funny stories that you would have experienced as moms, not having your circumstances? I know you have some good stories, that things that have happened to you as a mom because of your walker or anything like that.
Yeah.
And how you just hear about it.
Chrissy, as you get to know Chrissy this year, she has an amazing sense of humor. She's one of the funniest people I know.
Warped. Because of my disability and needing a walker, when I was expecting Becca, I went to Babies R Us, like most of us probably did, to test drive strollers, thinking, oh, I can use the stroller like a walker instead. And yeah, you're already laughing, dummy, right? So here I am, like however many months pregnant at Babies R Us, test driving strollers, thinking, oh, this will work. Well, anyone who's driven a stroller knows that they are not meant to be leaned down without tipping over. I didn't know that yet. So here I am at Babies R Us, and I'm like flopping against a diaper aisle and things with my big belly going, yeah, this isn't going to work. So, but that's just one of the ways God's provided for me, because what we ended up coming up with a workaround for is that the baby bucket seat fit perfectly on the walker and made it almost like a makeshift stroller. And then when Becca outgrew the bucket seat, I got a booster seat, one of the travel ones that you see people take on vacation or to restaurants. And I strapped it to the walker, and it was on there, and I buckled her in, and again, a makeshift stroller. And that's how I got my kids around before that I was able to just call them and have them come most of the time. So is that what you were looking for, Amy, or is there another story you want to hear?
That's a good one. Stories have good funny stories.
Yeah. They're not always funny at the time. In retrospect, they're pretty good. So.
Christy?
So do you live a lifestyle of always staying home? Or do you take your kids on adventures?
Oh, I was going to say I am a stay-at-home mom officially, but my sister laughs at me. I don't stay home often. Especially during the summer, I like to do a lot of activities. We go to the zoo and museums and the beach, and they're in gymnastics because I need a place for them to burn energy that I can't do. And yeah, I would say I'm pretty active, you know.
How about the train ride into the city?
Yeah, I take train rides into the city to have lunch with my sister who works downtown. And I had, Zach was, 2 at the time, I think, because I have one of those harness leashes on him as I'm going through Union Station. And Becca was newly potty trained, and so I had Zach on a leash and Becca trying to find a bathroom in Union Station. Yeah, that was a challenge adventure, but it was fun.
Somebody here? Was it Tiffany?
Like, my son's 19 months old, and I can't imagine, like, I feel like if I just had one more arm or, like, I could run faster. So I don't know what did you do, like,
How do you keep up with
how
Zach?
did you keep
That's
up?
the
Yeah.
question.
At that age, I think
Because
it was
most of
even
us
harder
with active
because
voice.
they're not listening at that age. They're doing what they want.
Well, it's
There's
not
so many
just at that
hazards.
age, it's all
Yeah, that's true. But
I think honestly, and I'm not blaming my kids, but that I'm sure it contributed to it, of just my feelings of frustration and thinking that I was getting snakes. And I'm like, I'm calling this child 18 times and they're not coming to me. You know, and
Tiffany does the same thing.
thankfully it does get better. And there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm leaving, and amazingly they always seem to follow. But yeah, I don't have a magic answer for it. It's hard. I mean, there are times I'm like, I see the diaper leaking, and I'm like, come here so I can change you, and I'm already sitting on the floor because I can't change them at a changing table. I'm too unsteady, so I would sit on the floor and change them there. But of course, that requires them coming to me and submitting themselves to laying still for 3 minutes for a diaper change. And there are times that didn't happen. I'm like, you're leaking all over the hallway, come here. And yeah, it's not easy, but